In a world that constantly tells women they must be desired to be valuable, there exists a revolutionary truth that society fears to acknowledge. What if the moments when you feel most disconnected from physical intimacy are actually when you're closest to your authentic self? What if choosing solitude isn't about giving up on love, but finally learning to love yourself completely? Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, understood something profound about human transformation that modern culture has forgotten. He knew that our most powerful spiritual awakenings often emerge from our deepest withdrawals. Today, we're exploring why periods of physical and emotional abstinence might be your soul's way of calling you back home to yourself. When a woman consciously or unconsciously steps away from romantic entanglements and physical relationships, something extraordinary begins to unfold. This isn't about deprivation or punishment, it's about redirection. The energy that was once scattered across external validation, fleeting connections, and surface-level attractions suddenly has nowhere to go but inward. Jung called this process individuation, the journey toward becoming your complete, authentic self. But here's what he also understood. This journey requires periods of what I call sacred solitude. These are times when your body seems to naturally withdraw from intimate contact, not because something is wrong with you, but because something profoundly right is trying to emerge. Think about it. How many women report experiencing heightened intuition, vivid dreams, and spiritual insights during periods when they're not romantically involved? This isn't coincidence. It's evidence of a deeper intelligence at work, redirecting your life force towards self-discovery rather than self-loss. If this is already resonating with you, if you've experienced these mysterious periods of withdrawal and wondered what they meant, drop a comment below and share your story. Your experience might be exactly what another woman needs to hear to trust her own journey. And make sure to subscribe because we're going much deeper into this transformation process. What society labels as loneliness or being picky is often something far more profound. It's your psyche protecting your energy while it undergoes a complete reorganization. Jung spoke about the process of psychological alchemy, where base emotions are transformed into spiritual gold. This is exactly what happens during conscious periods of abstinence. Your sexual energy doesn't disappear, it transmutes. It becomes creative energy, spiritual energy, self-actualization energy. Women who embrace this process often discover artistic talents they never knew they had, develop stronger connections to their intuition, and gain clarity about their life purpose that was previously clouded by romantic distractions. But here's the part that makes this journey challenging. Our culture is terrified of women who aren't seeking male validation. A woman who is complete within herself, who doesn't need external approval to feel worthy, who has learned to channel her feminine power inward rather than giving it away. This woman becomes unpredictable, uncontrollable, and therefore threatening to systems built on female dependency. This journey isn't without its trials. Jung spoke extensively about shadow work, the process of confronting the parts of ourselves we've hidden or denied. When you stop using relationships as a distraction, you're forced to face patterns you've been avoiding. Why do you need constant validation? What childhood wounds have you been trying to heal through romantic partners? How much of your identity has been built around being desired by others? These questions can be brutal. They can make you question everything you thought you knew about yourself. Friends and family might not understand your withdrawal. They might pressure you to get back out there or suggest that you're wasting your youth. But this pressure often comes from their own discomfort with witnessing someone brave enough to choose depth over surface, substance over stimulation. The woman walking this path often experiences what I call the dark night of the feminine soul, a period where old ways of being feel empty and meaningless, but new ways haven't yet fully emerged. This is the cocoon stage, and it's meant to feel uncomfortable. Transformation always does. As this process deepens, something ancient begins to stir within you. Jung identified what he called archetypes, universal patterns of energy that exist within the human psyche. One of the most powerful is the archetypal wild woman, the aspect of feminine energy that is complete unto herself, connected to her own wisdom, and unafraid of her own power. This archetype has been systematically suppressed in our culture because it threatens systems of control. A woman connected to her wild woman energy doesn't seek permission, doesn't shrink to make others comfortable, and doesn't trade her authenticity for acceptance. She becomes what Jung would call individuated, whole, integrated, and self-directed. But accessing this energy requires a kind of spiritual fasting. Just as physical fasting clears toxins from the body, emotional and sexual abstinence clears psychological toxins, the patterns of codependency, people-pleasing, and external validation-seeking that have kept you disconnected from your authentic power. The most profound shift happens when you realize you no longer need to be chosen. You have learned to choose yourself. This doesn't mean becoming cold or closed off to love. It means becoming so full within yourself that any relationship you enter comes from overflow rather than emptiness, choice rather than compulsion. Women who complete this journey report a fascinating phenomenon. They become simultaneously more selective and more open. Selective because they no longer accept relationships that require them to diminish themselves, and open because they no longer approach love from a place of fear or desperation. When you love from wholeness rather than need, everything changes. You attract different people, set different boundaries, and create different kinds of connections. You stop seeing relationships as a way to complete yourself and start seeing them as a way to express your completeness. Perhaps most importantly, your journey becomes a lighthouse for other women. In a world full of women who have been taught to fragment themselves for love, your wholeness becomes a radical act of rebellion. You become living proof that there's another way, that a woman can be complete without a partner, fulfilled without constant validation, and powerful without needing to diminish others. Jung believed that when one person undergoes this kind of deep transformation, it creates ripples that affect the collective unconscious, the shared psychic space of humanity. Your journey toward wholeness gives other women permission to begin their own. This transformation isn't just theoretical. It has practical implications for how you move through the world. You begin to make decisions based on your inner compass rather than external expectations. Your career choices become expressions of your authentic self rather than attempts to prove your worth. Your friendships deepen because you're no longer performing a role. Even your relationship with your own body changes. Instead of seeing it as an object to be desired by others, you'll begin to experience it as a sacred vessel for your soul's expression. Physical intimacy, when you choose it again, becomes a spiritual practice rather than an ego validation. The beautiful paradox of this journey is that by withdrawing from the world, you eventually become more available to it, but you return on your own terms as your authentic self, with gifts that can only be developed in solitude, deep intuition, emotional sovereignty, spiritual clarity, and unshakable self-worth. You don't return seeking to be saved or completed. You return as someone who has learned to save herself, and this changes everything about how you show up in relationships, work, and life. If this message resonates with something deep within you, if you've been feeling called to withdraw, to go inward, to step away from the constant noise of romantic pursuit, trust that calling. It's not dysfunction. It's your soul's wisdom guiding you toward your next level of evolution. The silence of your body isn't emptiness, it's preparation. The space you're creating isn't loneliness, it's sacred ground, where your authentic self can finally take root and flourish. Remember, when the body goes silent, it's not because you're broken, it's because your soul finally has space to speak. And what it's saying is, you are already whole, you are already enough, you are already home. If this deeper exploration of feminine psychology and spiritual growth has opened something within you, please share this video with other women who might need to hear this message. Your share could be the catalyst for someone else's awakening. And if you're ready to continue this journey of self-discovery with us, hit that subscribe button. We're building a community of women who choose depth over surface, authenticity over approval.